Greetings out there. It's the Holy Hour podcast, the All Cure podcast, my friends. Bi-weekly, we come out and we talk about the cure, and we're so glad that you found us. So grab a seat, get comfy, and guess what? We got more wild mood swings on deck. Yep, I know what you're thinking if you listened to the last episode. You guys talked forever about wild mood swings. What could you possibly have to say? But as soon as we hit stop on our recording devices, we realized we didn't talk about hockey jerseys. We barely talked about the B-sides. We didn't even really talk about the Swing Tour, which is very dear to many Cure fans' hearts out there. So we'll address all these things. I called up the boys again, and we got a quick rundown. But it's not going to just be another 2 hours of us griping and moaning and cackling here and there. We got also some wonderful contributions that we tried to open up the scope on this one a bit, since it is such a divisive album, as we've talked about, and a lot of people feel passionately one way or another towards this album, and we really wanted to share that with you guys. So we got some cool contributions, we got some in-depth looks at these B-sides a little closer, and a little more chit-chat on top of the surface. So I'm so glad you joined us, and I hope you got a little bit more room in your heart for wild mood swings. Everybody loves picking on this album, but let's see what some other people have to say before we dive into our thoughts on these B-sides that everybody loves so much. Everybody does get a little more defensive of the B-sides, which is kind of universally cool that people love the B-sides for this album so much. But can be so harsh to the actual album. So we'll see why, perhaps, and dig into those B-sides with us and our buddy Coulter. So he's going to send in some thoughts on B-sides. But before we get to that, I'd love to kick it all off with a quick little review from a listener, Matthew, out there, who's been so patient and so cool. He sent in a couple snippets almost a year ago, probably at this point, maybe even longer. He sent in this wild mood swings one and says, I know you haven't got there yet, but I just wanted to send you some thoughts on wild mood swings. And I loved it, and it's such great perspective and points. So a lot of it match up with what we talked about last episode, and our pros and cons of the album. And then some new twist in it there. So we finally get to use this. I apologize to Matthew that it took so long for us to get to Wild Mood Swings, but, you know, we got to drag this podcast out. So we took our time strolling through the Cure libraries to get to Wild Mood Swings, but we're finally here, and very happy to present to you guys a quick little snippet from Matthew out there, and here we go. Matthew's thoughts on Wild Mood Swings, kicking it off.
Hey, what's going on, Gavin and Donald? Big fan of the show. Well, I took your advice on recording a quick something to send in, and I hope it's not going to be too critical, because I'm going to be talking about Wild Mood Swings. But I think I'm going to be pretty fair to it overall and measured, but I'm recording this, sorry for the audio, I'm recording this in my car on a very rainy day on my way home from work. I have a pretty long commute, so. Anyways, I think I'm a little younger than you guys. I'm 33. And I got into the group when I was in college, and my first records I got were Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, and Standing on a Beach. And then from there I went backwards, 17 Seconds, Faith, and then kind of just moved up gradually. And I had heard that Wild Mood Swings was kind of the worst thing they had done. So that was the second to last thing I got. Actually, I missed the self-title album. Even though I got into them right at the same time, oddly enough, in 2004. I mostly avoided that for whatever reason. But anyway, yeah, Wild Mood Swings. It's weird because I think it's such a just tone-deaf approach to a record by Robert. I mean, I'm just talking about the artwork was just bad. Terrible. The overall feel is, I get that it's misjointed, but it just, I think it's just sometimes weird for the sake of being weird and just bloated and kind of lazy. And my biggest thing I want to say is I love Want. I think it's an awesome opener. I think it's one of their best songs, but man, does the rug get pulled out from under your feet right after. It's so strange. It's like, I can't even imagine. I don't know if you guys back in 96 were, like, you were probably anticipating this a lot, and then just to hear Want and be like, oh, the boys have done it again. Here we go. Another classic. And then just going into Club America, and This Is a Lie, and God, all these other terrible songs. It just must have been just heartbreaking in a way after waiting 4 years. But I do want to say some positives about it. Like I said, I love Want. I think everyone likes Jupiter Crash. That's a really, probably, let's be honest, probably the best song on the release. I think Numb is very good. I'm not a huge fan of the lyrics, but I love the melody behind it, and the actual composition is great. And then the B-sides are really good. I like Adonis a lot, Home, Waiting. Pink Dream is okay. I don't know, kind of seems a lot like In Between Days in a way, like a watered down version, but yeah, it's strange. But then, you know, because obviously I missed all this stuff at the time, going back now, there's such a wealth of concerts that you can watch from that tour up on YouTube and different bootlegs, and their sets were crazy. They would be playing these, you know, 28 to 35 song sets every night, and they'd be just really busting out the deep cuts. So it just seems so strange to have to tour so heavily on just this kind of dud, but then you're playing all these great songs that people probably haven't heard live in forever, if they were, you know, if they ever got to see them. So I just think there were just some weird decisions made, some weird choices. It was good getting, I think, Roger back in the group, and then you have Jason as the new drummer, who's certainly capable. But it was just a weird message to send. I don't know. I would have preferred if you know, someone to just kind of grab Robert by the shoulders and say, hey, look, you're writing tons of songs here. Some are good, but they don't fit, and just showing some kind of restraint, or I don't know. I don't know what I think. I just think it's just a very large misstep that I think, honestly, they're still partially recovering from today, at least in the, you know, the court of public opinion. But anyways, there's some good stuff. The B-sides are good. Jupiter Crash, Want. But man, I would like to see like a redo of the album somehow. Like if someone just cut that thing down or did different mix. I don't know. But anyway, I love the show, guys. Thanks for doing it. Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
All right, thanks so much, Matthew. Again, thanks for the patience. Look forward to sharing your thoughts from Blood Flowers that you sent in too when we get there. So stay tuned, everybody out there. And yeah, just it's really actually sadly refreshing that you know, the collective head scratching spans over all time period, all ages. When you got into The Cure, doesn't really matter. When you get to this record, you still kind of go, It'd almost been easier if it was just a complete dud, but there's so many great songs on this record, sandwiched around so many not so great ones maybe. But yeah, maybe that's the beauty of it. Wild mood swings. Before we launch into further debates of the B-sides and such, we also got an awesome contribution email from Jonathan, who has contributed before, and I just want to read a few quick words on his thoughts on Wild Mood Swings as a whole. Jonathan writes, to put it bluntly, Wild Mood Swings suffers from consistency problems. Sometimes it feels like the follow-up to Disintegration and Wish, but in other places it feels like a revisit to the Top and the pop singles of the early 80s. It's a jarring experience to listen to from start to finish, opening with the heavy-hitting Want to then leap right into Club America. It's a puzzling record, to say the least. One area I think the album does stand out in a strong way is the way the classic synth sound is mostly replaced by brass and strings. I think this really works in the album's favor, giving a more mature and established sound and dragging the band out of the 80s into a new decade. It's hard to kick the album when it has such amazing tracks such as Want, This Is a Lie, Trap, Numb, Treasure, and Bear. But it's also hard to praise it for its crimes against the ears with songs like Mint Car, Club America, and The 13th. Then, in between, you have middling kind of good, kind of lackluster tracks such as Strange Attraction, Jupiter Crash, Return, and Round and Round and Round. All in all, after deep thought, I could say with confidence this album is certainly not bad, but in comparison to albums such as Head on the Door, Disintegration, and Wish, it's just something I cannot sit comfortably with and is certainly the beginning of The Cure's downward spiral in quality. So my rating would have to be a fair 6 out of 10. All right, Jonathan, thanks so much. And yeah, again, some crossovers there for sure. Consistency problems seem to be across the board. Everybody would agree, and I do love that everybody says, all right, well, clearly these songs are good and these songs are terrible, but there's still always those few that sprinkle in there. So I like that you had Numb and the ones that are like, clearly this is a great song, but I was bashing Numb last episode. So everybody's got their, like I said, Cure a la carte, man. But maybe it was an album ahead of its time. It's designed for the iTunes playlist date and age, where you can shuffle stuff around if you really feel the urge. But yeah, and another great point with the swapping out all the synth sounds with real brass and real strings. Something we kind of bashed on it for in the last episode too. But yeah, I hadn't really thought of it in that perspective of like maybe that's why it doesn't sound so classic Cure, is because if you had replaced it, with just the generic kind of 80s synth sounds, maybe it would sound a little bit more like what we were used to. So I don't know, better or worse for that. Who knows? Let me know what you think out there. But thanks so much for writing in, Jonathan. Always great to hear from you. And as promised, now we're going to launch right into the thoughts on these B-sides. So we're going to kick it off with our buddy Coulter, who really took kind of just the introduction to these B-sides and give you the lowdown on these B-sides and which ones they were, what were the tracks, maybe some rough ideas on lyrical meanings, and then we're going to segue right into Chaz and Donald and myself once again chatting it up and also going over those B-sides. So sorry about some redundancy because there's overlaps in some thoughts, but we try not to dwell on anything too long that totally covered the same concept, but it's good to know when we're all on the same page and when we're all on a completely different page. So let's let Coulter kick it off with a quick rundown of Wild Mood Swings B-sides.
Hey guys, it's Coulter, and we are talking Wild Mood Swings. Gavin has given me the awesome opportunity to talk about the B-sides from this album, and they are really good B-sides. I think a lot of people would agree that they could have easily replaced some of the songs off the album itself. And although I do agree, I feel like it might detract or take away from what Robin and the band were going for, because although some of these B-sides are stronger, higher quality, in my opinion, songs and some of the ones on the album, I think the album itself, it was awfully Wild Mood Swings. It was, it has a whole gamut of emotions and feelings. It does a good job of being well-rounded and having something for everybody, I guess, essentially. But, yeah, these B-sides are really good. But anyways, let's see here. Wild Mood Swings came out in 7th of May, 1996. The first single, 13th. That was from April 22nd, 1996, so just a little bit before the album itself was released. There's 3 other singles, and they were all released after the album came out. And those are Mint Cars, which is from the 17th of June of that year, Strange Attraction, October 8th, and then Gone, December 2nd. So, almost the end of that year. That one came out way later. But let's start with the 13th. This single has 3 of the 6 B-sides on it. And, this is an era now where we have cassettes, but CDs are starting to, if they haven't already, become the norm. So it's kind of different than the traditional. You have the vinyl single, flip it over, you have the A-side, then you have the B-sides. So things are starting to get kind of different. But anyways, the 13th has It Used to Be Me. I might say this wrong, but Adonis and then Ocean. It has 2 different versions of the single, and the other version of the single basically retracts Adonis from it, and then it has a mix called the 13th Killer B mix. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that one's that different. It's not like mixed up or torn down where it's a huge different take on the song. But anyways, let me start by saying that on the fan page, I made a post. Well, it was a poll, and it was like, of the 6 B-sides, what is your personal favorite? And this first B-side, It Used to Be Me, actually ran away with the votes. Most people went for this song. which I guess isn't that surprising. It's a really good song. It's not my personal favorite, but anyways, yeah, It Used to Be Me. Very strong song. To me, it's about, I think, reflecting back and having maybe pity, feeling bad, or envy, in the sense that, maybe you were in a relationship and, like things needed to change, or you needed to make changes for it to continue or to strengthen, and then you get so comfortable with the mistakes you're making or the person you are, and you never actually change, and then, that person's with somebody else, and you look back and think, hey, it used to be me. And I think if you take away maybe the potentially relationship side of it, it could also be just about thinking about how like things used to be good and you're having a hard time now and looking back and go, man, I used to have things figured out, or whatever it might be. But from most people I've talked to, their opinion is that the song is, like the lyrics kept saying, I will, but I won't. Which to me, like, and then, whatever you need, get it from me. Like, looking back and going, like, I should have changed, I should have whatever, and it's basically too late now, but like, whatever you need, you can still get from me. Yeah, so to me, it's really just like self-pity, looking back, envy. But the good thing about Cure songs, I think, is you can really take it or interpret it to what you're going through or whatever you need the song to be about. And I think that's what makes a song great. But anyways, yeah, very good song. So the next B-side from that single, the 13th, is Adonis. And Adonis, this one I had a hard time with kind of understanding. It's not one of my more favorite B-sides out there. But I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the song songmeanings.com. It'll have like the lyrics of the song, and at the bottom people will say their opinions, how they interpret the song, or they might also have like quotes from an interview or something where they say, look, the artist actually said this about it. And but it's hard to know what's true or not. Someone says it was actually written by Percy Shelley as a eulogy to John Keats. So that guy's like a famous poet, passed away, and this other poet, wrote a eulogy about him, and then he became very famous or well known for this particular piece. And I looked up Adonis. The actual piece is very long and very, the words are very deep, and to me, maybe I'm not the smartest guy, but hard to interpret. I don't know if you've ever heard Robert or the band talking in an interview. They're very intelligent. They're very, good with literature, and they just seem like they're very educated. And so this, this eulogy, Adonis, Robert, I think he didn't, I think some of the words and some of the themes are the same. He didn't just pull like the words from it and make it the lyrics. It's just kind of based off of, okay, this person says that, like, who was Keats, what did he stand for, and that he says he looks at the line, those are the lyric, what death may join, no more let life divide, as sort of a call of action. Basically, he interprets this as saying, like, don't deny yourself any part of life. Like, things might be tough, or, we look forward to the afterlife, or that rest of not having to worry about the stress of life or whatever. It's just basically saying it's a call of action, like be happy in the now and live in the moment, I guess. Another person's comment said that Adonais is a Hebrew name for God. It's usually translated in the Old Testament by the word Lord. But yeah, other people are just kind of saying it's kind of like the romanticism of death. And anyways, it's a good song. The lyrics are can be hard to interpret, I guess, in my opinion. It sort of reminds me of possibly like a Disintegration era song. Like the instrumentation almost kind of matches maybe Prayers for Rain, just kind of like that bass line or whatever. Kind of reminds me of that. Anyways, let's get to the next song. The last B-side from the 13th is Ocean. And Ocean, that's a song where obviously, like, in this era, it seemed like they were using a lot more like strings, like a whole string section at times, I think. But Ocean, right, the lyrics kind of start off with like, I don't think I'm any closer than I was at 15. This song kind of hits me because when I was 15, like I've said many times, I'm from Phoenix. When I was 15, I was kind of forced to move. My dad was in the military, and so I had lived in Arizona pretty much all my life. And then when I was 15, my dad had to go for work to live in Virginia by the D.C. area since he was military. And it was just a hard time being away from what I was used to and my friends and all that stuff. And I think at 15, I just had these feelings of like, okay, like once I get past this, once I graduate high school, I'll have things figured out. Once you're an adult, or you get married, you have kids, everything just kind of magically works together. And when you're an adult, you know it all. And, we all know that's definitely not the case. Once you get past something and although life is good and being married and having a kid, like I have a almost 2-year-old daughter, like it's great. And like, that's what life's all about. But like, you're always going to have your challenges and your trials, and you may not know, okay, when you're saying, I don't think I'm any closer than I was at 15, like, I think you always have this feeling, especially in your youth, that you'll have things figured out and, say, I want to do this in my career, I'm going to be this. And it does, oftentimes for some people it happens, for others, it's just not how it works, right? You just go through life. You might change your career. You might decide to switch, in education, your educational degree or whatever it might be. And I think it's just a song of just wishing you had it figured out, wishing you knew what you were doing. But it's a good Cure song. It's a good, slower song, emotional, brings out the emotions more. But yeah, those are the 3 B-sides from the 13th. The remainder, so there's only 3 more B-sides, and they actually come from the very next single, Mint Car. After that, Strange Attraction and Gone just kind of have some mixes of the other singles. Okay, Mint Car came out in the 17th of June, 1996. And although we're talking B-sides, I want to talk about Mint Car for just a second, because this is one of my more favorite Cure songs. At my friend's wedding, I did the music. I was in charge of him. When I say did the music, that means I did the iPod, right? I clicked when he wanted certain songs to play, and he had Mint Car play right after the ring ceremony. And so when I got married in December of 2014, so yeah, I'm going on 4 years here, I had the same song played after, and I feel like it's a good reflection of once you get married, of just so happy that you could scream and being excited, and Mint Car, right? It's like brand new. It's like a brand new part of your life. So I thought that was so cool. My friend did that, and I did the same thing. But anyways, the B-sides for this are Home, Waiting, and A Pink Dream. Home is probably one of, if not my favorite Cure song. It's happy. It's got, great lyrics. Some people might say it's too poppy. The lyrics are too, I don't know how to describe it. Some people might say bland, or like, I get it, like it's another one of those love songs, like, but I really like it. It's just, the beginning of the song says, sometimes my words get twisted, and sometimes they make you cry when all I'm really trying to do, or hurt your feelings when I'm just trying to let you know that I love you. And I feel like that's kind of a good reflection of me and most of us, that, you're trying to show your love or do things a certain way, and sometimes words come out wrong, or actions. And Home, I don't know, it's a great song lyrically to me. It's just saying that with whoever you love, like that's home to you, and you don't want to be perfect, and sometimes things come out wrong. You just want the other person to know that you care and that you're there for them, in my opinion. But anyways, the next B-side is Waiting. And Waiting was probably the one I had the hardest time understanding the lyrics. I really, this is one of my more favorite B-sides. Someone had said, I found a comment somewhere where somebody was saying this was about Robert, like a dream he had maybe while on tour, and that he was trying to understand it. I think he said maybe too it was about like his room at his parents' place or something. And so I feel like the lyrics, like, man, I cannot make much sense of them, but it was like one part mentions like a pale blue room, and then the other one's like a dust pale room. And I really can't tell you what the lyrics are about. I had a hard time. I tried to get inside, but I couldn't find much. The song, to me, no one else is probably going to feel this way, but there's a line in there that says cherry tree, like my cherry tree girl. And to me, this is probably dumb, but it reminds me of my cat growing up. My cat's still around. I'm taking care of her, but when she was much younger and I was living at home, we had a cherry tree in our backyard, and she'd always lay there in the shade. So it kind of reminds me of my cat, right? Cherry tree girl. So at the beginning, it says, tonight I'll dream a girl called home and wake up in tears all on my own. And so I think maybe it's like looking back, or maybe missing home, being homesick possibly. And like you wake up in tears realizing you're not at home, or you're not where you used to be. It says, yeah, and wake up in tears on my own with the sun coming up and my head against stone, balcony dressed and drawn. Tonight I'll dream a room so far away. So possibly being homesick. And it says frost pale blue, the color of a perfect day. And then later, like a similar lyric, he then says, Then How Come I Believe So Soon in a Cherry Tree Girl and a Dust Blue Room. So we go from pale, what was the other one? Pale blue? Frost pale blue. And then literally later he says Dust Blue Room. And so I'm not sure what was meant by that. And then towards the end of the song he says, but if I don't believe in magic or blood, miracles, or love, how come I believe it seems in a girl called home and a girl called dream? So that was, to me, a song that was really hard to truly interpret the lyrics. But like I said, from what I understand, it's based off of a dream that Robert had. Our last B-side is A Pink Dream. I'm going to look up the lyrics to that one, but this one to me is the most different from the rest. But to me, I think it's about you're on vacation in this particular case. I think that the lyrics say Rio sunrise. Yeah, Rio sunrise sucking on a straw. So I think maybe you're on vacation away you're from home, and he meets, some guy meets a girl, and they have, this little thing for the short time of this vacation. And although, the guy was infatuated with this girl or whatever, I think that particular girl was just, another guy who might be somebody else vacationing there, getting away from the stress of life, that she might have, something with that person the next week. I could be wrong, but from some of the comments I read, that is kind of what I got from it. It says I asked her for some time and she just made me it. I asked her maybe why and she just gave me it. So trying to understand why this person was so nice or whatever. And that person just goes out of the way, and then, you have this little thing. The other person, then you leave and you go back to life or work or whatever. And then I think someone kind of interpreted it as might start over, and this person, that's just the way they lived, I guess. 14 weeks I stay away from home, 100 days apart, of me unknown, apart in pink, and perfect moments play. So there's that pink mention, in the name of the song, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it means. And as a wonder of the world, she sucks my breath away. And then towards the end it says, but it was all so far away and so long ago, I hardly ever think about her anymore, except sometimes when the summer twilight breeze carries the scent of faraway rain, I remember, and she still sucks my breath away. So I think it's way in the future, and you're looking back at this maybe small little fling you had and remembering it and going, okay, this was such a short thing. It was all infatuation. There wasn't much negative to it. So you look back and go, think about how happy you were in that little moment. Not one of my more favorite B-sides, but it's still good. But yeah, those are the 6 B-sides for Mood Swings. Like I said, the other 2 singles are Strange Attraction and Gone. On Strange Attraction, we have This Is a Lie ambient mix, which we were given on Join the Dots, right? It just has the violin or the strings playing. Gone, Critter mix, which is a totally different version of Gone. It kind of reminds me of video game music or something. It's quite different. Strange Attraction, Strange mix. And then from Gone, Gone was the only CD I didn't have for the longest time. I had those other singles on CD, and then I didn't think much of. I mean, I liked the song Gone, but I didn't really realize that it was a single and that there was other ones on it. There's 2 different versions of it. The first one has the 13th Feel Good mix. This is a light ambient mix, that one with the Strange Attraction, Strange mix. So it's very similar to that Strange Attraction CD. But there's actually a second version of the CD that has Gone, a radio mix, Gone, the Critter mix, the one that I said kind of reminded me of video game music. And then there's a Gone Ultra Living mix and Spacer mix. And these mixes are, probably listen to them once. They're very out there, very different. You might be able to find, I think I found one of them on YouTube, but they're don't sound like something that Robert would do. I really feel like it was some random person did this mix. It's almost like a dance mix or something. I'm not sure how to put it, but very different. But anyways, guys, Wild Mood Swings is a great album. B-sides are definitely the highlight for me of it. And thank you guys so much for listening. Bye.
All right. Thanks so much, Coulter. Always appreciate your time and thoughts on these Cure songs. I need to revisit those remixes of, from Strange Attraction and Gone singles. We didn't even really address those in the discussions coming up. But I remember being pretty underwhelmed at the time. But maybe there's a little something in there. But along those lines, thanks again, Coulter. We're going to call up the boys now and see what Donald and Chaz have to think about such burning topics as the B-sides and the swing tour and, of course, hockey jerseys. So let's jump right into our conversation once again, as if you hadn't heard enough of us talking about Wild Mood Swings. Here's a little bit more for you. So yeah, I guess where should we start? We want to talk about B-sides for this particular album because this is an interesting batch. I think everyone agrees that The Cure kind of known for having great B-sides for the majority of their career. And people love to like say, oh, this should have been on the album, this shouldn't have been. And, you know, we even plan, hopefully in the future, to do a revisionist episode or two where we kind of want to pick apart some albums and see how we could rearrange them and such. But this batch is a strange one in particular because this might be the most like legitimately arguable that some of these probably should have been on the record. I think that's fair to say, guys. Yeah, because it's like, you know, yeah. And yeah, I mean, is it really that absurd to even think that all of these definitely are better than some songs on the record? And because, you know, there's great ones on all the, you know, those awesome albums, but it's tough to find another one to swap it out for and stuff like that, you know? So it's but it just seems like there's so many on this record in particular.
All I hear is crickets.
Yeah.
Are you outside?
Are we outside?
Yeah. Okay, we're outside.
Yeah, we're outside. I podcast outside.
Summer was over.
It's not.
What year are you in, Donald?
Wait, when did this record come out?
He's so high. He's like still in 1996. Somehow he's transported himself back to 1990. The summer of cicadas. I remember that was a strong, legit locust, whatever. I guess there's some version that's always around, but like the ones that only come every whatever the hell was that summer. I remember the Wild Mood Swing summer that we were listening to this record.
Crazy loud outside. Every time we went outside, it was like just static. It was so loud, like the world was static. And here we are.
Yeah, what has changed? But yeah, so these B-sides, and it's strange too because the way they were kind of released on these singles, one was as far as another negative. This was the first time it really started to bug me the way they were putting out these CD singles and stuff. Where it was like,
because there's a million of them.
Yeah, and I mean,
and they're all cheap as shit.
And I legitimately don't think The Cure is like
clips.
trying to make the extra buck ever or anything. I think it's just that collector's idea where he or somebody in charge was thinking, oh, it'd be cool to have two versions of the single, you know, and like.
Are those dogs?
Yeah, my dogs are going off. Sorry. I'm not outside, though.
Dogs and crickets. And I feel left out. I need some of my cat. I'm going to start getting it to like meow or something. But yeah, I mean, it was just kind of annoying because it would be like you'd buy one version of the 13th that would have this on it, and then the other one would have something else. And then when it got to like the last two singles, like Strange Attraction and Gone, like they didn't even have any new songs on
Those
it.
are all
they had,
fucking shitty remixes.
Yeah, it was really weird because it was like they're all stacked. There's a good chunk of B-sides, but they're all kind of stacked on those first two singles. So I don't know
Because
what
like
that
the 13th,
means.
it was like swing radio mix, 2-chord cool mix.
Yeah.
And then like every single is like radio mix, buskers mix, electric mix. And then they just like gave up towards the end and just put out like all those shitty remixes.
Yeah. So,
Like,
yeah.
I was still like fucking buying. This is like the last record. This is like the one that did me in, and this is that single shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not buying this anymore. I stopped. Like,
yeah. It was.
I think Gavin's bought me every Cure record after this. I think
It's,
maybe I bought Blood Flowers. I think I bought Blood Flowers, but like everyone after this, other than Blood Flowers, Gavin bought me because I'm like, nope.
Yeah, and I mean,
because it ruined it for me. Like,
yeah,
this is what did it. It's
But-
gross.
well, I don't think it was in a greedy way. Like I was saying, I think they're probably trying to make it cool for like a collector's kind of thing, you know. But at the same time,
Then it was dumb.
it's still money, and it's still nothing, you know.
So is it gross or dumb?
I don't
You
know. but
Because it's
point
not
being-
cool. I mean, I know it's not. It's 2-chord cool. but
Yeah.
it's not cool. like,
not full on cool.
so it's either something else.
And maybe all these are those million mixes that we were talking about. So maybe they weren't ever, because I remember them. They're not even drastically different. A lot of those remix ones. It's just like
he would say like, "This is the 2-chord mix" in
Yeah.
front of some of the songs, and just like he would just say that, and it would be like,
a different
slightly.
mix.
Like
yeah.
he turned the horns up on this one a lot, and
Yeah.
he muttered the name of the mix at the beginning.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Cool.
So maybe we weren't really missing out much on the different million mixes or anything of these songs, but just the quick rundown of the actual songs. It's Ocean, It Used to Be Me. I'm kind of just looking at the stack. So it used to be me, Adonis, or also pronounced Adonais.
Latin?
Adonais, yeah. But and we'll get into that in the
Adonais.
lit episode, Adonais. But then
Adonais.
yeah. So we'll let the literary experts call us out on that one, I guess. But so those were all on 13th in some form or another. Then Mint Carr had Home and Pink Dream and Waiting. And maybe that's it. Oh, did I say You Used to Be Me yet? I think that's on one of them too. Yeah. So, well, I guess on the top, do you guys have any preferred ones from that stack, as far as like ones that you really feel were exceptional, and then just ones that were cool?
Well,
ones that you totally hated. Yeah.
This is the first. This is the first record they stepped away. Kind of backtracking a little bit. When they stepped away from vinyl.
Yeah.
The only single they released on vinyl was Gone. And that was like that's like really hard to find. Everything else was CD, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
the other ones were just never on Ica 45 or anything?
No, not that I remember.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that had anything to do with it or
just a lot of dabbling with the format for sure. Huh.
Because I guess maybe it could be like an industry thing where it's just like a weird in between thing, like where vinyl is kind of like out, but people were like,
it was definitely
singles. So they make all these like singles of shitty fucking flimsy ass singles that they put out with this, like instead of like 45s and vinyl and stuff.
Yeah, and even most of these were like, they have import stickers on them and stuff of the CD singles. It was kind of that age
that was
where it was
probably
cool.
purposeful.
Yeah, you know, and it was around when like Tower Records, you could always get the import singles and stuff, and it was a big deal to always like dig around in those. You never knew which version you would find of what. And did you have any main takeaway ones that you thought were really good gems that should have been on the record, Donald, off the top of your head that you remember?
I like the Adonis one a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Ocean was all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't like many of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Chaz, what about you? You have ones that were your standout ones that...
I love every single one of these singles, actually.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think each of them have different things that I can pull out that I actually like, and you know, I did notes and everything on them. So, but
cool.
my favorite one is It Used to Be Me.
Yeah.
I think that's the best song that wasn't on the album, and I think if it was on the album, it would be up there with Want, and it's one of my favorite songs on Wild Mood Swings. I think if you read the lyrics, and I might be reading it too much, I really think that song's about Lowell. I know we talked about it last episode about like one of the songs you could kind of take away that it was about his whole situation, and you know, it was going on at that time, so
makes sense.
maybe it didn't get on there because maybe it was too personal for him. But at the same point, like, why would you even release it as a B-side? But, you know,
a little more tucked away would probably...
Yeah, possibly. But, I mean, the lyrics... I mean, we've all been through stuff where it's straining... Like, you have a relationship that's kind of getting fucked up and pulled apart, and then, like, it puts a strain on your other relationships. And, you know, in this song, there's definitely... It seems like he's battling between... some unnamed person and then some female, and it really, like, you're just kind of like, well, what the hell's going on, you know? So I could even take that as the issues having with Lowell is affecting his marriage, even, you know. I mean, because I've been that with, you know, even with my wife, where we're going through some shit and it's affecting our marriage, even though it has nothing to do with it, you know. So and I took that, you know, I took the song as something along the lines of that, because this is a pretty deep song, and he's going through a ton of shit in those lyrics, and
it's very aggression to it, you know, too. It's not a very
you want me to be like this, and you want me to be like this, and you want to take this, and I can't, I don't know what to do at this point, so,
Yeah.
and like, it's like I was,
It's like kind of leave it behind. Like that used to be me. Like I used to be that person that dealt with that shit. Like leaving it behind, or
Yeah.
I used to be like that.
And the reoccurring kind of
like-
phrasing of what you need from me,
Yeah.
just that whole idea of so many people, whether it being collective or just a lull figure,
Yeah.
of draining him, so.
Yeah, and like it seems like he's fighting internally, because he can't really lash out against Lowell, and like
Right.
you're in your marriage, and you kind of have to keep that steady, especially when it's not the other person's, they're not involved in it, and
Yeah.
you're just, and like he even says like he's just grinding his teeth and that's all I can hear, and it's just like, I'm just like, yeah, I've been there. It sucks,
Yeah.
So
I know you're saying, dude. Like I've been there too. Like I've been married forever, and just realizing like you're being like a burden just because like you're unable to handle your shit, or there's just like a huge burden. That you're not handling well, and like you're taking it out on your partner because you're not handling it well, and it's not fair, and totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I took from that song. I don't know if it's, don't quote me on that. So, but I just like if he's been very like reflective of what he's going through in the moment with a lot of his music and his words, and like that's something that's charming about him. And like I just think that this, like, he didn't really hit on what's going on with with Lowell and the the lawsuit and everything, and I think this is the closest thing that maybe came to that. So I mean, it had to suck, the whole situation,
Yeah, for
so,
sure. Like we said in the other one, I'm surprised it isn't all over more obvious. Even. I mean, it totally seems like it would be, but and maybe
I'm gonna
in
go
his
back
weird
and
way
listen to this song after the podcast.
I think it's
I barely remember.
I think it's a great song to begin with. I think it's like the best single or B-side that they have for this album. Even though I like them all, I think this is my favorite one. So.
Cool. Yeah, I thought that one's kind of definitely more a Wish feel to it.
Oh,
especially
yeah,
if it had been recorded that way, where it's almost got like an Edge of the Deep Green Sea kind of vibe to it too, because it's longer and stuff. But yeah. But did you officially say, Chaz, that you would take off all of them then, all 5 or so? I think it is for the album.
There's six singles, right?
Is it 6?
Yeah,
that sounds right.
I would replace every song on the album.
Yeah.
I'd put all 6 on there.
You can find a solid 6 on the album and swap out for the
solid 6, like shitty 6.
Maybe in a few bonus ones, you give her like a 2-for-1 trade.
Oh my god, I think that would be the easiest swap out of like any of the singles that we would swap out. Like so like the 13th would be gone, and Gone would be gone, and
Ooh,
it would be
Mint Car.
I'd probably keep Mint Car, just because. I think like with like if you're gonna call an album Wild Mood Swings, that there should be some bipolar,
some peppy songs on there,
feeling to the album, which it didn't have. Which I don't want to get back into it, but like I think if you have that in there, it kind of hammers it home a little bit better.
Yeah.
So but,
every end of both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Other favorite ones, I guess, starting at the top, then Ocean. What do you think of that one? That's probably my favorite, actually.
That's that's a really good song.
Yeah, it's just like a good, sad Cure song, you know, or just like this one just totally sounds like it could be on Wish or something. If it didn't, even the production on it sounds pretty solid to me. But
like,
I didn't mind this one.
Yeah,
the orchestral instruments like actually worked on this one. Compared to like a lot of the other songs, were just like, what the fuck? Like, with this, like, really...
Well, like, why weren't you doing this?
Yeah, it really, like, it set, it went really well with the mood of the song. And, like, with Mint Car, it'd be, like, the opposite side of the spectrum of what's going on. Like, so I think
some dank orchestral shit, like...
I definitely like it.
Mm-hmm. What about Pink Dream? I initially loved this one. I thought that was like should have been the fucking single on the album, but it kind of goes back and forth. Where I love like the rambly acoustic guitar. Feels very old school Cure, and I love the energy in it.
Mm-hmm.
But the lyrics are a little goofy, and then the weird sucking noises and stuff too. I'm not really sure what he's getting at with the whole like. Is it supposed to just be like full on blowjob innuendo or what? I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm the expert on this, so I will
Yeah. So,
Let's cut to Chaz here. He knows a lot about blow.
but am I just like a pervert for kind of insinuating that even, or it's kind of in there, right? He's like still sucks my breath away, and then there's all these like slurping sounds and everything.
And it's called Pink Dream.
Yeah, I mean
It does sound like a strip club name.
Yeah.
Like Pink Dream. Is this where you're going, Gavin?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like equating like.
And it's such a sweet, fun pop song,
It's like a
though. So I kind
vagina
of feel like they
song?
shot themselves in the foot with that because they could have gotten real like.
Shot themselves in the vagina with this one.
Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, for how like blatant pop they're going for with like Return and stuff on the album,
Yeah.
even like Strange Attraction and stuff, it was like, why would they take this song that structurally and like melody wise is all pretty solid? But I don't know.
I think
You guys cool with that one?
Oh yeah. What do you think, Donald?
Okay. Yeah, the peppy one. I like that.
The guitars were weird.
That's all cool too.
Like it just got like it started off kind of dope and then it just got basic. Like
Yeah, it feels
I
a
don't
little
know.
unfinished or something. Yeah, it's just like they just kind of decided they didn't care halfway through it and didn't really put that much work into the lyrics, maybe, or something, or just it just doesn't really go anywhere.
and this is the song that I was talking about earlier that I was trying to remember that had like just that very basic of the era guitar thing at the end that I really didn't like. Like it started off kind of dope, but then it just went through this like very of the time formulaic kind of song structure, and it did have some good points to it, but that just took me out of it. I mean, everything in this record takes me out of it.
I like the drums a lot on this one. I didn't catch who was the drummer but I like the tones of it and stuff too. I thought this one held up like production wise, and the drums was cool.
Yeah, and speaking of drums, like the drums on Adonis or on Adonis.
Yeah, we'll just go with Adonis.
Like there's like a good like towards the end or kind of middle before it like finished out the song is because it is very movement oriented.
Yeah,
I thought like the structure of the song, unlike Pink Dream, and the drummer is doing this dope like playing the beat but doing these big tom fills for like fucking like 5 or 6 measures for it like moved on to the next part, and it just built it up and it was brilliant.
Yeah, that's another
Like
cool
like
epic
just
one.
the drums on that were they're just so good.
Cool.
I hope that was like the new guy.
It's
or
probably
whatever.
Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like his plan.
Yeah.
Like kudos. Like that shit was tight. Like that was hard. Like, and he nailed it. And all these fucking B-sides reminded me of how much that Jason dude is like playing to a click.
Yeah.
And that's so like that's fucking hard, and that dude's like pinpoint accurate because there's so many little like drum little like swoops and little thingies, and
that one, the
very
production stuff, I feel like
very
works.
washy drum effects.
Yeah, there's lots of swirls
Like,
going around,
shit
even
he's
just with the
playing to,
vocal
man, that's
effects
hard.
and stuff. Yeah, a lot of cool like just swirling effects. That's really
Yeah.
good atmosphere on that one. Where it's
Though the drums were recorded like shit.
yeah,
Except like
which
the
is a good
snare on this-
segue to the one Home. I
Whoa.
love, and that snare sound kills me on it. It's like
It's so high pitched.
yeah, I don't know. It's such a nice
Coming
song
from some
too. I love
sludgy
it.
snare like their whole career to this high pitched like
Yeah.
very efficiently tuned. It's like super reboundy when the drum head's all tight, so you can like brrr and get on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's such like it takes me out.
Yeah,
It's
I
such
don't
a
know if we're
departure.
plowing through too much, but that song "Home" is one I'm torn on too. Do you guys know that one? And like that with that snare hit and stuff. It's just kind of a sweeter like love song one, and I really like the lyrics and the melody's great and stuff. But yeah, that snare just drives me crazy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the like that whole wide world shit.
yeah. It's just like a nice song, but it's got great.
That song's why I don't listen to lyrics. Like that's why I don't pay attention to the lyrics. That whole wide world shit.
The lyrics are really good in this one. In that one though.
Yeah.
I like them.
Shut
I
up.
like 'em.
No
Yeah,
way.
they're nice lyrics.
Since I didn't get my 2 cents in about Pink Dream really quick.
Yeah.
I have it as a great pop song, especially for that time. And then can you hear the In Between Days acoustic guitar on that?
Yeah, that's what I was
Like,
getting at, like the
totally.
rambly, that super fast strum that he does so great on an acoustic. And we hadn't really heard that in a while at this point, which is because he did it a bunch around that era and then kind of started to back off of it again. And he's always done that with that super fast strum.
Trying to get it in between days or like.
I mean, I think it's just that style.
I think if he was going to, it would have ended up on the album.
Yeah.
I mean, but I had to pause the song and go to In Between Days and listen to it, and then go back and listen to it again. I did it like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like,
so
that's a good formula,
Yeah.
And I'm like,
why not? I mean, I would.
Is it just like the formula, or like just like the acoustic aspect of it that makes you think of it?
No,
or the lyrics or the structure.
I think the speed is about the same, and it just it's just that really that really quick. Really quick guitar work that he's doing on just the acoustic guitar that just I don't know stands out with both of them. I'm just like I don't know, like they sound like they sound very similar, and I'm like I really enjoyed it just because it's like more of a throwback song that actually works.
Yeah,
I didn't really get the time of day it should have, but. I think it's
even questionable lyrics and all. I feel like that was definitely a contender for single. Even if you put that on it, that could have been.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'd take that over Gone and Strange Attraction any day.
I could see like if that came out as like the first single, like my ears would have perked up a little more. Like, just like like.
Yeah, I really feel like all of them could be on there. I think Waiting to Hop Around Again, maybe we haven't talked about that one too much. That would probably be the one I would leave out. That I didn't really, if you...
Yeah, I didn't have much on that, except I like the sliding guitar that was being used, because you don't really hear that very often in any of the Cure stuff, so it was definitely...
True.
We're getting bluesy.
It was a little different, and I enjoyed it, so it was just something different that actually they used that actually worked. Even though the song didn't blow me away, but
True.
I mean, if they would have used Pink Dream as a single, I think that would have gotten a lot of older fans happier at the time, because they would have gone like,
especially right off the bat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So,
but the end of it kind of
it fizzles out. But I mean, compared to the rest of the album,
right.
Compared to the end of Gone,
was saying,
I don't know.
man, this is like the best you got, and you're like, oh, it's better than this piece of shit.
But and then going back to the kind of that main thought we had of Wild Mood Swings, which everybody loves to do, where they just you pick apart your own best version of it, know. But I think really everybody would swap in at least half of these, for other ones, or just trim it down by 2 and then swap some of these, It's just like there's so many combinations that it's kind of silly to say this is the golden official way it should have been, just like, well, I guess
that's not life. You can't do that with things.
But, I think,
and you can now, though, actually, which is great. You just on your iPod or whatever the fuck, make your own version. Who cares?
I think you could have made a perfect follow-up to Wish, even though Donald's not that big of a fan of it. I think you could.
Yeah.
I think you could have made something that was going in that direction with even stripping out these 5 or 6 songs. So But I think the B-sides definitely hammered home that they actually, these B-sides anyway, that they still had it,
Yeah.
And I think they still were able to go from Wish to into this, and they still had it, and it wasn't gone, but they just...
just the variety.
How do you define it, though?
Writing a good song, and I don't know what happened with, like, let's put this on the, because we'll never know, like, what happened. Like, why is Club America on this record? Like, you're just like...
That song's garbage.
Yeah, I was like, why is it on here? Like, you had this song that's, like, Adonis, that's a great song. Like, why isn't that on there? Like that back to back with Want is a great like 1-2 punch. So
even the variety of these B-sides,
Yeah.
like when you put them all together, I mean, it makes more sense.
Absolutely.
Still, even though it's still all over the spectrum, it's like just putting all these together flows better
Oh,
than
absolutely.
like the album, and it's really weird.
Just to make it kill.
Yeah, a lot
the
of
album's
the production.
too much, man, and some of these are a little dialed back. Like
Yeah,
Maybe
but
they
I
didn't
mean,
get
like,
these.
there's a couple of them I thought I felt like were a little more tame.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't get the attention
because
that
like the
that
album's
they wanted.
jittery, makes you feel jittery. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
And some of the B-sides, like,
Yeah, maybe that's why they
Chilled
benefit.
out.
They didn't work on them quite as much because they knew that they weren't going to make the record at a certain stage or something.
they,
so
they didn't fuck
didn't
with
put
them
Yeah.
as much.
the 15th fucking harmony voice in there, the little weird.
That wild mood swings zhuzh.
Yeah,
you know,
would
just
have
like
otherwise
little,
put trumpets all over it
little
and shit.
sprinkling.
So let's take a minute and address the Swing Tour, which was a pretty epic tour again in '96. So I think they hit the U.S. later on the. I think they didn't come to us until about September, I think it was. So it was later in the year after it got released in the spring. Hit up Europe maybe and stuff in advance. And I kind of feel like spirits were a little low by the time the tour even started. Like they kind of knew the album wasn't doing great, you know. But it was still a pretty epic tour. It wasn't quite as exhaustive as like Wish, but still covered a lot of ground. And I saw somewhere they said they still made around 7 million on the tour. So it was like everything was far from a fucking, you know, disaster Spinal Tap thing or anything, you know. So I mean,
That's a ton of money.
yes, I mean they still did fucking great, and you know, I think it was cool because it was a weird tour too. Like looking at it now in hindsight, of like not only did a lot of younger Cure fans, which we I guess kind of qualified at the time of that, you know, we're like in that bracket where we didn't quite catch Disintegration even on tour and stuff, you know, where we were too young for that. But then like, you know, which I guess is great. Like any kind of Cure tour from this point on is like a whole nother batch of people get to see them that didn't get to see them in the past, you know. So that's kind of cool. And but they, you know, knew they weren't having this huge mega album like Wish or Disintegration probably to back up. But they're still playing like stadiums and arenas. We saw them in a pretty big, you know, like my
More touring band
future
than,
university's stadium. Yeah, so it was like a big.
Like they're a fucking touring machine, man. Like, and they have been forever.
Yeah, so they knew how to do it right. And
Did they play like a shit ton of shows on this tour? Like,
yeah, it was a pretty good amount. I don't know the full number, but it covered pretty much everywhere. You know, worldwide, I think too, and definitely all through the U.S. And I think a lot of cool opportunities popped up for people like this one, maybe because it wasn't doing so good. Like hearing the stories, like everybody seemed to have these like cool sound check stories and backstage passes, and Perry like is becoming like everybody's hero because he was like hooking everybody up, maybe because they weren't selling out as much and stuff, you know. But like that's like Arusha's whole stories were from that, and our friend Matt like got to just because you were hanging out early, you would get invited in to like watch the sound check and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of that was probably going on before this tour, so I think they were being kind of extra cool to their fans around this time too, which is pretty rad. I definitely wish we would have taken advantage of that more at the time when we saw them. Like I just kind of had them on such a pedestal that I didn't even think anything like that would be remotely possible, you know. Like
yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? They just like descend from the sky and play a show, right? They don't actually ride around in buses and
People.
yeah, they don't hang out anywhere. They just like disappear after the last song and go off to some rock god cloud or something. But yeah, I mean, and the shows were like the first batch, I think, where they're officially starting to do these 3-hour mega shows. And just looking back at the set that we saw, even it was like kind of all fit in the format of Wild Mood Swings. So they played like Club America and Return and a bunch of like ones
All
that,
the good songs.
yeah, all the
Yeah.
hits from Wild Mood Swings. But they still opened with Plain Song, went into Want, and they had like, you know, I guess the weirder ones still be like Figurehead was in there, and like Cockatoos, Catch, The Kiss, just kind of in the middle of the set. If only tonight we could sleep, and still stuff, you know. Then just like I think that was like the first time they're doing these
Like
encores.
Cockatoos is dope. Too.
Yeah. Do you remember this show, Donald? That was my other final question. Because I remember early on, you were all like, I never saw him after Wish. I was like, no, what are you talking about? We went to this show. But remember they had this one? It was all kind of carnival-y stage setup and shit. Vaguely.
Vaguely, and I don't know if it's just like I'm confusing it with another one that I went to.
Uh-huh.
I'm not 100%.
And but yeah, the actual show is just our usual crew, I think, and we had mediocre seats. This was a rough era for Donald. We'd pick him up for band practice, and he looked like the dude from Flaming Lips, and would just be like this fucking cloud of smoke would come out the door when he opened up. Like, are you ready? And he's like, for what? I'm like, fucking band practice. It's like, what songs do we know? It's like, what? Come on, man. Goddamn. This was after banging on the door for like a solid hour or two. I was like, I fucking see him laying on the couch.
Like, I see you, asshole.
It's like, wake up, you fucking stoner. But,
I was like 19.
Yeah, you know.
Like, give me a fucking break, man.
Goddamn Cure show. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a damn good show. It was 3 hours, I think. They played 32 songs.
Jesus.
It was at Patriot Center. I wasn't officially going to George Mason University yet, but that's where I would end up going. And yeah, it's just a nice memory. So I'm glad between the two of us we can share this memory. but yeah, I think people definitely that went to these shows felt like it was a solid tour, and maybe even like took up a little of the slack that maybe the album didn't satisfy. You know, maybe there's something a little to that where everybody felt like they, you know, still were a really fucking rad band if you made it to these shows and saw it. I mean, because there's definitely some like bootleg footage and stuff from around this time where they start to kind of get a little sloppier than the Cure ever will, I think, with this lineup and stuff, where he's like, you know, there's some pretty brutal ones out there when you're watching him, and he's just kind of doing all the guitar stuff, and you can tell Robert's a little more trash than he normally would be on stage and stuff. And the songs
I hope he was fucking trash.
Yeah, they get a little sloppy on this.
That's at least an excuse.
But I remember maybe the first part of this, they were super tight when we saw them, I thought, or maybe I was just so like in awe at this point. But one thing that did bring all these shows together on this tour, I think, is something that we felt we needed a special segment of this episode to address the fashion sense of the Cure in 1996 and for a little bit on for this tour. And we figured, what better person than our fashion expert, Chaz?
I'm the least fashionable
17-second
person I know.
shirts. Yeah.
I don't know. You always have cool T-shirts.
Yeah. So
I'm sitting in
pretty much.
I'll give you that.
I'm sitting in pizza pajama pants.
You
And,
schlub.
Chaz is responsible for 80% of my wardrobe now. Like every T-shirt I wear is a courtesy of
I'm wearing an
shirts.
orange one right now, and my nipples are
Oh,
chafed.
yeah.
Back to your nipples again.
They're gonna wear out, like not my nipples, but the shirt. It's gonna wear out so it doesn't chafe.
You just have two little holes there in the
Yeah.
middle.
When they're poking through. Yes.
But yeah, definitely some interesting fashion choices made on this tour, along with a lot of all the other interesting choices going on with Wild Mood Swings. But most notably, the hockey jerseys at every show played live, I think, was either, and it wasn't just hockey jerseys though. Some of them had like some hockey style basketball jerseys, perhaps, or maybe I'm mixing up my teams. But I feel like at least on maybe some of the talk shows, he was wearing like a Chicago Bulls one or something.
He was wearing a Dallas Cowboys shirt. I saw him one.
Yeah,
It just angered me.
And
but I think that a lot of it was a stadium tour, was it not?
Yeah, for sure.
He's mocking it.
And no. So when they go to different stadiums, usually they'll play where the hockey teams usually play. So they played the Spectrum. That's where the Flyers play. And I haven't seen them in a Flyers jersey, but they'll make custom jerseys or just give whoever's performing some kind of paraphernalia from the team. But it was like every live shot I saw them during that time was like he had the Russian one, which is cool.
Yeah.
But
For like
then he had like Washington
videos
Capitals. He probably wore Washington Capitals where you saw him, didn't he?
yeah, we saw him with the Capitals on
Yeah.
there, and yeah, so it was like every city he would wear that city's team,
Yeah, hockey team.
which is
But
kinda-
is it like a homage or insult like
I
I
think
don't think he's
sports equipment was
Yeah.
really
or mockery?
sports jerseys were really big back then, so it was
Yeah.
like it was more like not a I'm going to a game fashion choice, but just like an overall I'm going out in person in a sports jersey kind of fashion choice.
Mhm.
And it's like, say his costume designer for the tour was probably Kevin Smith's.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if
Because
he.
it's like some full fat Bob
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
and what do you cover up with is like an oversized looking hockey jersey or whatever.
Maybe.
You know, it's
I
like
don't have any
a fucking
physical quotes
costume,
of him
you
being
know?
a Kevin Smith fan, but
Yeah.
yeah, you would think there might be
But-
some connection.
Well, I don't
but-
think he's a hockey
Kevin
fan
Smith
either.
talks
So I mean, I don't,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Kevin
what's-
Smith talked about this shit as well, like on his podcast and stuff, and just in real life, it's just like he's like, I wear these giant things because I'm a giant guy and it's a costume.
Yeah.
Like, I always like thought of it in the same parallel.
Yeah, but I mean, he could just wear his big baggy black shirt that he wore for every other year of his life. I mean, there's definitely other ways around it, But at the same time,
That's how I'm going out, man. I'm not fat yet, but
I
man,
think
when I get fat, I'm just like bigger black t-shirts, man.
That's what I do.
I'm not going hockey jersey.
Nah, not gonna-
I only usually wear them when I go to a game, but it's
But I mean, I did that even. I'm not even a big sports dude, but I remember even like late high school for whatever the hell reason I was wearing like jerseys and shit.
Yeah.
Like I had a few like hockey jerseys and baseball jerseys I just wear for whatever reason. It's like I didn't even really care about the sport that much, but I was always I don't know. Yeah, it's just something people did, I guess, in the 90s.
I
don't
always
know.
they make me chafe. Like
Yeah.
I don't wear them. I avoid them. Like
We gotta wear an undershirt or something. You can't just be rocking that polyester right on your
bleeding
nipples.
nipples.
Yeah.
I know.
But,
I know during that time that in the hardcore scene that basketball jerseys were the big thing.
yeah.
And like you'd have band basketball jerseys of like the band, and they would be screen printed with the name of the band, or like on the back would be like the year that they started or whatever year it was, and then that would be the bat.
it's like a jersey.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, it's like a team.
That's
That'd be
kinda dope.
So and not to say that
Yeah.
I owned one or two back in the day, but yeah, it was more like a fashion sense back then than you would have
Yeah.
today. So
It's
but-
strange. And I think there's probably a little element of like nobody would expect him to be wearing a sport jersey too, so there is kind of that like
He's in the
typical
soccer.
Robert Smith, like haha, like look at this, like not in like a
Yeah.
even a full on joke way, but the way he just likes to kind of do what you're not expecting him to do, kind of thing, and there might be some of that involved too,
He's just
but-
being silly.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
he just gotta like, nobody would expect me to wear this, or just being sick of wearing a big black sweater or something. You know what I mean? Where he's just kind of to that point where he feels like he has to combat it a bit or something, and change it up.
That was the end of a look for them, and their photos from back then were very cringy with like
Yeah.
all the
So bright.
flannel. No, just like
Yeah.
with just what they were wearing, like flannel and like oversized clothes, and not that didn't work before, but I mean like like I'm surprised they weren't like rocking
Yeah.
turtlenecks and everything else.
Yeah,
So,
the flannel was the other weird angle for like a lot of the publicity photos and stuff.
yeah, corduroy.
They would be. Yeah, and I
We're
mean
a
everybody was
grunge
wearing it
band now.
there, but at the same time you're just not really used to seeing the Cure doing
Yeah.
that, so it looks a little weird. He's just wearing some like plaid button-up shirt or
Yeah.
something. I'm just like, huh? Looks like some shit from like JCPenney or something. Like what is he wearing?
Yeah.
It's very strange. And then the whole band, I mean, just look-wise, even kind of toned it down. I remember
absolutely.
thinking that at the moment, even where it's just like this was the first time Like you have like Roger was just kind of had like a short normal do, and even like Perry kind of wasn't really rocking the full like eye makeup like he had been with Wish era and stuff. Even by Wild Mood Swings, he's like rocking a yellow T-shirt and stuff, and we know how people feel about yellow T-shirts. So
Yeah.
that's there's definitely a
Oh God,
but,
here he goes.
yeah, but yeah, it seemed a little bit more like they could just be any band if you didn't see
Yeah.
Robert Smith, you know, in the '90s, and that was kind of odd. Because it was even weird, like even by Wish, when you really look at the full band, everybody was kind of not doing the full Robert look at that point. You know, like Boris's hair was floppy. But I mean, you just seen them in The Cure so much that you're used to them just being The Cure because those guys have been around forever. Like Pearl always kind of had his look going, you know, and stuff. So it wasn't really
Like they didn't all have to do it.
Nah, yeah, mostly they didn't. Even Simon kind of knocked off doing the Robert 2.0 look.
Simon had a ponytail.
Yeah, he always did his own jams, man.
Yeah, he had like the man bun going or whatever the hell. Like, and by this point, he was wearing like his version of the sport outfit. He was always wearing like some kind of like workout tights with like a weird tank top. You know, he had like his whole other.
When you're playing 3 hours,
yeah,
like,
you gotta.
I kind of. It makes sense now. Like I would have if I had super long hair, I'd have that shit in a bun. I'd be wearing some like fucking Gore-Tex or whatever, like some sports people wear.
And,
like like that's a lot of work,
sense,
man.
But Robert kept the look pretty solid. Other than those hockey jerseys, he was pretty much. Even his hair was a little tame in some of the publicity stuff, and maybe like not really caking on the eye makeup quite as much and stuff. Like, but then he would slip back into it pretty quick. Where you'd see like a year later, barely, and he has his full on like Robert look still. And it's like, nope, he's still going for it, which is cool because it's like that would have been really lame.
He went back to that for Blood Flowers, didn't he? Like that whole look. Like,
yeah, pretty much was already way back. You know, even by the end of Wild Mood Swings, he was looking pretty standard Robert look, I think.
Yeah.
There's a few pictures too of the parkas and shit that he's like. That was very Britpop in that era. Like Oasis and Blur and Verve are all wearing the big puffy parka. I even bought one around that time because I wanted to be cool like those guys.
I still rock like a puffy ass parka.
Totally. Yeah, I still have it, love it, but yeah, it was like it definitely was my intention buying it.
Shit
but
looks
it's like
dope and it's like warm as fuck.
But yeah, it's kind of weird. You don't see that on them too much now, or any of this stuff really. That's what's kind of weird because like none of that really stretched in, like you said, at Blood Flowers at this point. They reset back to like, okay, everybody just wear black, and it's like, okay, cool. So
what are you
now?
What
If you
you
just showed up with a hockey jersey,
Chaz? What are your big fashion takeaways?
I
T-shirt guy.
I think that instead of setting the trend, that they followed it at that point, which is kind of disappointing. Kind of like Wild Mood Swings, but it just kind of reflects what would the music and the style, because they always go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
So, and I feel that the music was kind of reflecting what like their style, fashion sense choice at that point in time. Maybe I'm diving too much into it, but it just seems kind of weird that they went that one direction for like 1 or 2 years and then they just went right back to like I don't know what like. Was it like a PR thing where they? That's something I wondered. Was it was it the record label saying you have to look like this?
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, fuck that. We were going back to this, because this is what we are. So that's takeaway.
Like, yeah, dude. Like, that's exactly how I feel about like the record, the recording of it, like the tour. The merch, the image, like it's such a label thing, and I don't know if they're just like making a mockery of it, just
maybe.
like goofing, and just getting money.
I wouldn't put it past
the whole
them.
time, yeah. I mean, they've navigated like labels forever, and they just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and now they're like. At this point, like they're huge.
Yeah.
And they kind of dropped the ball a bit. But they're working in this horrible system, which they're getting paid out the balls to work in, but
Maybe,
at what price? Your music, your shows, your soul, like 3-hour shows, man. Like
I think that was more their decision. But I mean, I could see them. Maybe that's why some of these B-sides didn't end up on the album, because they were saying, fuck this to the label, and we're not gonna, what if they put those B-sides on the album, and it turned into a humongous record? It was like, we got to go through this shit all over again, and they're like,
right.
Maybe it was a conscious decision of they knew, like Robert knew what he was doing, like with, I'm gonna put these shitty songs on this album. And it's not going to sell. I'm done with just getting more and more popular, and I just kind of want to go back and take a step back, which is kind of what they did. I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm reading too much into it. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why are these shitty songs on this album when they had better songs?
There's so many.
I'm trying to find some reasoning in it.
There's an element too that could be made, or argument that could be made for the idea that when they really had like no like wrong choices to this point, like everything they couldn't do wrong, like from about Head on the Door up at this point, like every like weird decision worked in their favor, like everything from going super gloomy with Disintegration when they, should have been popped to, even Wish, they're like, what? I mean, I'm sure it just gets hard to make a decision by that point. We're like, I don't know, everything that we do works.
Yeah,
so
that could be another thing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he was probably just like, I don't know, pick this. This seems different. Pick this, and probably just wasn't really thinking through, or you just don't really, everyone's telling you, sure, at this point, probably too. And nobody has
brain's fucking fried from dealing with that shit. Like,
so it's going to catch up with you at some point, and then you're just gonna make some decisions. Everything down to the hockey jersey. You're like, oh, shall I wear this? And everyone's like, yeah, that's fucking rad. And he's like, cool, all right. I'm sure it's Elvis syndrome or something. It was bound to happen. It did.
When it did,
and then, they shift gears in a different thing. I mean, that was cool that wasn't the end, or something, because then we'd be scratching our heads forever. But at the same time, I was like, all right, well, fuck it. And then they just take another 4 years, but
it is what it is.
Bloodflowers now on the corner, and we'll see.
For when it was.
Focus everywhere. Yeah, so much focus around the corner. So, all right. Well, we got some trumpets. I think are gonna play us out now.
Fuck
and
yeah.
more trumpets.
Play the best song. Play the best B-side to round this boy out.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Chaz and Donald, for talking more Wild Mood Swings.
No problem.
Talk hard.
And we'll catch you soon. Talk hard. All right, and thank you, listeners out there, so much for sticking in there with all our Wild Mood Swings talk. If you have any comments that you would love to add to the mix, the Facebook page is a great place to visit. You can chime in there, or you can write me directly at gavinconner@gmail.com, or share with us on Instagram, the Holy Hour Podcast on Instagram, in the threads there. We always love to hear your 2 cents. And but mostly just subscribe on iTunes, because between Podcast Garden and Apple iTunes, whatever the hell, the best way to make sure you get the new episodes is just subscribe. That seems to be the one that gets the episodes as soon as they come out, no matter what. So subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss anything. If you want to contribute to the show, also send it to that email address. You can, I hear technology these days is amazing. You can record you and your friends talking about The Cure the way we do, and just send it our way, and we'll love to use that in an episode. It could be anything that we've talked about already, or something totally different. We love Cure conversations, so however trivial, send it our way. We'll be sure to use it. Or if you just want to record a quick little segment for an upcoming show, we can work it in. You know it, you've heard it, so send it my way. Otherwise, be sure to help out Chaz and yourself by going to 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com, and that's where you can find original, unique designs by Chaz, and affordable. They're real cool. He just put a hoodie up there. I don't know if there's gonna be any available still by the time this posts, but there's hoodie, there's all kinds of cool shirts, so keep your eyes peeled and check that out for sure. And thanks to Chaz for joining us, thanks to Coulter for contributing, thanks to John for writing in, and thanks to Matthew for all those months ago, sending in his thoughts early on Wild Mood Swings. We hope to hear from all those guys again soon. Be sure to stay tuned. We have a great episode coming up next. Bella and I finally make contact and we talk Cure in literature. We find the essence of what Robert Smith pulls from to make his wonderful lyrics that we all cherish and love. So stay tuned, and until next time, I've been Gavin. Thanks for listening. And you know what? Stay tuned till after the music ends. You'll hear a special not-so-hidden track, a wonderful story shared by Chaz. Make sure there's no children in the room. Until next time.
I had some. This is a little story. I had somebody expose themselves to me at the Philadelphia airport one time, while I was taking a piss.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a little awkward.
Just like a
Did
full
they just like turn around? What happened? What did they do?
I was so. Have you guys ever flown out of Philadelphia, or anything like that?
Yeah.
All right.
No, I haven't actually.
So there's the last what do you call it, terminal. Is like local flights, and then there's a train that takes you into the city, and like so it's for a lot of locals. So I was coming home from somewhere, and I went and took a piss, and I was gonna hop on the train and just go into the city, and like some dude was like, I walked in and I went and took a piss, and I looked over, and he was at the door, and I was the only one in the bathroom, and he just pulled out his dick and just stood there, and I'm just like, yeah. This sucks. And then,
hey.
so I flushed the toilet and just walked around and walked out, and I'm just like, oh god.
Did he say anything to him?
No, he just
like
looked at me. It was just like I saw his dick and I looked at his eyes, and it was just awkward. So
Did he point his dick at you as you walked by?
no, he just
or did he just like put it away? And, like,
no, it was
going?
out when I walked by him. So I think it was just like, hey, you wanna suck my cock? And I'm just like,
here it is.
yeah. I'm just like,
I mean, did he have a nice dick? Or...
I was. It was flaccid, which surprised me, but
Hey,
you know.
If you're gonna do that, at least we go.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's like,
You're ready to go, man. Come on.
I have to work this up. I only have 5 minutes. Like, I'm here.
The train's almost
It's
here.
time
Right?
to romance.
You should be ready to go, dude. Your own fault, brother.
That's my flight.
I'm not missing my flight for this. You should be ready to go.
Oh man.
That's funny as shit.
Oh.
That's so funny. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh
Chaz.
no, it's
Yeah,
fine. It's fine. I kind of figured it's like a quick and easy pickup place for people that want to do that. So, but you know.
That's so. Everyone has time constraints. That's the worst place.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna do that? Like, everyone's like, I need to eat. I need to like take a shit. I need to go eat. Get on my flight.
Time is money, buddy. We gotta move.
Time is money, buddy. Get the shit out. That's funny.
By the luggage claim would make more sense. You just got all this time. You're like waiting.
You're
I'm like,
bored.
well, fuck it. Why not?
There's a bunch of like pervs blowing each other. We're bored.
Yeah. Another hour before they send my fucking luggage.
You have to stop and look away. And you're like, no, I'm not done yet. But my bag is.
Give them 5 more minutes, and if it's not here, I'm gonna just blow this dude for no reason. Oh man.
Where were we?
Yeah. Speaking of
The next song, because we have to stop for one song.
This song's very flaccid.
Actually, this kind of brings up Pink Dream.